Да,
Прошли один один.
да, братья моего. И я посмотрю документ, да?
Там Сабира? А?
О, Жень.
Okay, so dear colleagues, on behalf of the organizing committee, it is a great pleasure to welcome you all to Sofia to the beginning of the 30th Technical Modeling Week 2016. We hope that ahead of us is a week that will be full of very fruitful and intensive work in collaboration with fellow mathematicians from all over Europe, but also a week that will be full of new, nice, memorable experiences that will get us to know people from many different places and hopefully give you just a taste, a flavor of the Bulgarian culture to enclose the memory of this event. But before I tell you a bit more about how it will all go in the following days and give the opportunity to your instructors to present the challenging problems that they have brought here, we are very happy to have several high guests that have followed the event and will say a few words to congratulate you for its opening. So, first of all, I would like to give the floor to the Vice Minister of Education and Science of Bulgaria, Professor Ivan Dimov.
I'm very happy to be with you during this opening procedure. And I'm very happy to be with you during this opening procedure. I should say that it's not quite normal to have a deputy minister for such an event, because normally ministers are not very much interested in conferences. But I should say that this event is extremely important for the whole society of scientists in Bulgaria, and especially for me, because I'm sort of part of this community, because I was working at the Institute of Mathematics of the Bulgarian Academy of Sciences, and after that in the Institute of Information and Communication Technologies. So I've been also lecturing in this building. So I'm extremely happy to see you here, to welcome you. And I would like to say that industrial mathematics is something very important, because now we are talking a lot about possible practical applications and innovations, and you know that this is a very important stream of the European policy. You may know about the new ideas of so-called open science, science cloud, and things like that. I should tell you that here in Bulgaria we have traditions in the field of industrial mathematics and computational sciences. The format of this week, this is your third event, third week, is very nice, because you have a number of problems formulated by industry, by business, and you're trying to find the best solution or one solutions, because it's not always easy to find the best solution. But I wish you success during this meeting, and also if you have some time, please spend some time to visit this nice city, to enjoy your stay here. So all the best to you.
Professor Hill. And now I would like to give the floor to the Vice Dean of the Faculty of Mathematics and Informatics of Sofia University, that is the main organizer of the event, Associate Professor Alessandro Sosco.
I would like to welcome all of you here in the Faculty of Mathematics and Informatics in Sofia University. So, and I would like to wish you a successful, to have a lot of friends, and I'm curious to see your presentations. I hope that you will successfully solve the problem.
Thank you very much, Professor Soskula. And on behalf of the co-organizer of the event, the Institute of Mathematics and Informatics of the Bulgarian Academy of Sciences, here is Professor Bogoy.
Thank you. Dear participants, dear colleagues, our institute considers as very important this week, this event. It is not very secret that there is gap between the interesting research, and we consider your efforts this week as important steps in filling at least part this gap. So I wish you good luck, success, and good service.
Thank you very much, Professor Borgomenko. Thanks to all the guests. And now we will continue with the presentations of the instructors. I guess that in some sense you have all waited to hear a bit more about your projects, and tomorrow to start with fresh minds to work on those. So we'll carry on with the order that is on the website. And the first project is 3D rendering of industrial city by Stanislav Karizan. Thank you. So, hello everybody. I have the pleasure to start with the first project for this week, and the title of this project is rather general. It's a 3D rendering of industrial city data, but this is a quite difficult problem that, of course, cannot be solved in 1 week. So let me just start with a motivation about this whole procedure. So, together with my colleagues in our Institute of Information and Communication Technologies in Bulgarian Academy of Sciences, we are interested in material sciences and in general virtual material design, which is directly related to industry. It's a hot topic with plenty of research going on over there, and the whole procedure can be sketched on this diagram. So basically, we are interested in computing certain macro characteristics of a material. And those macro characteristics are not always easy, cheap, or even possible to be computed in real life directly on the material. So what we are trying to do, we are trying to digitize microstructure from this material. So we take a small piece of the material, we digitize it using some imaging devices, and then we simulate the same, we simulate this, we compute it, we simulate those macro characteristics on this microstructure of the object. And at the end, we compare this computer results, these numerical results with the real world. Or at least we ask some people who is good in this field to tell us whether these results are meaningful or not. So basically, this is more or less how such kind of process looks like. And basically, we're interested in this part of the process, in this basically mathematical part of the process. And what we are, why we like this project and we work on it. Basically, we can do everything on our own. Our institute is equipped with data acquisition device. So this is the computed tomography scanner that we have in our building. So basically, we can do data acquisition ourselves. Since we talk about CT scanning, the data acquisition comes up with numerous 2D projections based on which we have to then build up, reconstruct the whole 3D volumetric data. So once we have all these images, they are in general polluted, they have artifacts, they have different noises in them. So it's very crucial at the beginning to clear those images. And this we do with some a priori work on those images, which is kind of denoising techniques and killing some artifacts. And for this, we have used some purchase software together with our device. And also, this is basically the part on which we will be working on this week. We also developed new filters that can fit our problem and our data, industrial data. Based on this data acquisition, then we go to this image segmentation technique, which is used for the surface extraction of our object. So this is our digitized object at some point. And once we have this digitized object, we perform our numerical solvers and compute the macro characteristics on this simulated or this computed object. So, but today, for the purposes of this talk and this week, we will focus on the image denoising in 2D. So let me just show you briefly the schedule technique. So in the CT scanning, basically we have some X-ray beam that goes through the object, and you have a detector behind of it, which basically measures how much of the intensity of this beam reaches the detector. So basically you have some integral information about the density on certain lines of our object. So we compute various of such kind of 2D projections, and using some mathematical theory, namely random projections and random transforms theory, we can reconstruct the 3D image out of them. But unfortunately, in this process, there are certain, it's a noisy process, so there are certain artifacts that appear, and one that dominates all is the pulse and noise that comes from this, from the detector, the counting of the beams of these X-ray beams that reach each pixel of the detector. So basically, we are interested in Poisson denoising of 2D radiographic images. We have certain techniques that we have already applied, and we have certain machinery how to denoise such kind of images. And in general, such kind of problems, they usually deal with a regularizing term and the data fidelity term. We solve a constraint optimization problem, so basically we want to find the smoothest solution with respect to a certain measure, to a certain norm, in a certain convex set. And this set is given by our data fidelity. So what we do in practice, once we formulate that kind of problem and we solve it, we have a particular problem that we have dealt with. What we see at the end is that basically such kind of techniques, they lead to over-smoothing of the final object. So basically, if you have the real true object at the beginning, you pollute it artificially, and then you compare the denoised result with the true image at the beginning, you see that at the end, this gadget here, this smoother, this measuring the smoothness, the regular system is sometimes even 3 times smoother, 3 times lower than the actual object. So basically, we have this over-smoothing effect, which usually appears in such kind of problem. And this is basically some of the things we want to work with this week. And basically, we want to use this not as a disadvantage, but we want to turn this into an advantage. And how can we do this? So on this particular model that we are considering here, you will see what we do. We apply our denoising model of something that is actually denoised. There is no noise, but we can still apply our smoothing stuff. And this is the difference image between the smoothed version and the original version. And you see here, this is what I used to call Robin Hood effect. So basically, the smoothed image is smoother, but where do we oversmooth? We oversmooth at the edges. We oversmooth where we have a big difference between grayscale intensities, left and the right. And this is the Robin Hood effect because the richer gives to the poorer. And what you can see in this
difference image here is that these red regions are that gain. So this is where the smoothed object has lower energy than the original object. This corresponds to these high intensity regions. And the blue regions, they correspond to the regions where the smoothed object has higher intensity than the original object. So exactly where we have red and blue meeting each other, we have basically the edge or the important information of our image. We can oversmooth it twice. So this is even more oversmoothed than this one. And we can just take the difference image between the two smoothed objects. So now here we don't have even information about the ground truth object. Here we just take information of two smoothing objects, two results of our algorithm, different parameters. And we see here again that we have this Robin Hood effect, and then if we just make a pure segmentation, we just make a binary image where this difference is positive or negative, we see that we can extract most of the features of the original image just via these oversmoothing effects and taking the difference image of two oversmoothed solutions of our problem. So this is basically what we want to explore. We want to have different denoising models. So we will now build our own denoising models with different regularizing terms, different data fidelity terms here as well. And then we will work on three particular cases. I'm sorry, this is really not visible here. Good, it's due to the beamer. I don't know. So basically, the first image is basically something that we know what it is. We have something which has a different density. Here it's here is the densest. Here is not so dense. No, vice versa. So basically, the original image is very dark. We employ a very low level of yeah, okay, I will finish. On this image, basically, we want to reconstruct all these lines and these two hosts of the object based when we have as an input image something which is very dark. So we have used a very low amount of radiation. But here we know what we want at the end. So basically, we know what we expect to have. This is something which is visible to us. In the other two exams that we have, we don't know the ground truth. So basically, again, we have some low intensity pictures, and this is a welding. So basically, in the middle of this metal, you have certain welding, and in this certain welding, you have some air bubbles and things like this, some artifacts that you want to find out. And this is basically what we have as a difference image, applying our technique to the two difference images of the smoothing stuff. So this is one thing we work with. And the last thing is some porous material, in which inside here, again, you have some voids, which are not visible with the pure eye, but you can, again, visualize them when you take this difference image. And on those three examples, we will model some new denoising techniques, some smoothing techniques, and hopefully at the end we will compare the results to what we have so far. Thank you.
And now I would like to ask the participants of Project 1 to stand up so that you can see each other and you'll be able to meet and talk in the opening events right after these presentations. Okay, thank you. And now we continue with the second presentation. The Project 2 computation of free surface and electromagnetic shaping technique methods with instructor Jean-Rodolphe.
Okay, then I am from the ECMI capital, from the University of Lorraine in Nancy, France, and I will give a project of computation of free surface in electromagnetic shape of liquid metal. In fact, it's a project of shape optimization, And we want to solve, using classical shape optimization, an interesting problem of computation of free surface in electromagnetic shape. Imagine here a bubble of molten metal in levitation under the action of the electromagnetic field created by a set of inductors. Yeah, this means the inductors. This is the bubble of molten metal. This is capital. It's finished now. Just for me. Finish now. Okay, thanks. Okay. Then the capital omega is the stereo, the small omega is the interior of the metal bubble. The magnetic field is the solution of the Maxwell equation. This is a simple version of the Maxwell equation. The data is G0, that is the density of currents, and the boundary gamma is the solution of this equilibrium equation. In this equilibrium equation, you find the contradictory action of the magnetic field, the surface tension, this is the curvature, the mean curvature, the surface tension, the gravity forces, and P0 is a node of the problem. In fact, it can be seen as the difference of pressure between the interior and the exterior, or a Lagrangian multiplier associated to the fact that you prescribe the volume of the piece of metal, of molten metals. Here, for example, a bubble of mercury under the action of a magnetic field. In fact, this kind of things arise in the construction of ingots of aluminium, for example, in the industry of aluminium. In our week, we are going to see a model of this problem, a 2D model. Imagine a column of metal, of molten metal, falling down in a magnetic field created by a set of inductors, of vertical inductors. This is the cross-section of the molten metal, of the column of molten metal, what we want to compute. And here is the solution, is some kind of Maxwell equation. And here you have the Bernoulli type of equilibrium condition, which gives the boundary. In fact, this problem can be seen as the equilibrium shape is in fact the critical point of the energy. Here you have the magnetic part and the surface tension part, and here you have the density of current that is created by a set of punctual inductors. And our work this week will be to find this equilibrium cross-section using shape optimization. The goal of the project then is to develop a numerical method to compute the solution of the direct problem that was a direct and that existed in that problem, that is a free boundary problem. Given a set of inductor, we want to determine the cross-section omega of the column of molten metal. Then this column will be the equilibrium domain and the stationary point of the energy function. Then you are going to do the computation of a critical point using shape sensitivity and classical shape optimization method. To solve the Maxwell equation in the stereo domain, we are going to use boundary finite elements. Okay, that's all.
Okay, thank you. And now I will ask the students from Project 2 to stand up. Okay, so hopefully you will get more in a few hours. And thank you very much, Professor Michel. Now, the project is design optimization of an electric motor with instructor category.
Okay, thank you very much. My name is Peter, I'm from Linz in Austria, and yeah, it's my pleasure to be here. My project is actually also on electromagnetic shape optimization, but it's an application on an electric motor, so we try to find the optimal shape, the optimal design for an electric motor. And yeah, let's just see what is an electric motor actually. So we use them basically every day. Whenever you plug in some electrical device into the power socket and produce something that rotates like the washing machine, then you're using an electric motor. They usually consist of an outer part which is fixed, which is called the stator, and an inner part which rotates. This is called the rotor. And in between we have some air regions, and also we have some coils where electric current is induced. And then this electric current causes a magnetic field in the motor, which for instance looks like this. And yeah, of course it's clear that the shape of the rotor, the shape of this inner part, definitely influences the magnetic field we get. So for this motor we will get a different magnetic field than for that motor. So our task is now to, okay, we know that different rotor designs yield different magnetic fields. Now we want to find that motor design that yields the best magnetic field. So possible designs are, for instance, so this is the motor we're going to consider. So here the rotor has mainly ferromagnetic material in here. So the brown area is ferromagnetic material, the blue area is air. Another design would be this. Maybe this is better if we introduce some air slits here. Another design would be this. So everything's possible. Whatever you can think of is a possible design, and we have to find the best design that yields the best magnetic field. And we measure the magnetic field by means of the torque we get from it. So the question is, which design yields the best possible magnetic field? And yeah, this is the goal of the project. How are we going to do this? I don't know yet, but I'm looking forward to your ideas. Okay, so thanks.
So now let's see the students from Project 3. Okay, almost in full equipped. Thank you, Professor Daniel, again. And now, Project 4 is job delivery from polymer influences from José Augusto Pereira.
First of all, thank you to get me this opportunity to share with you this, I think, beautiful project The project is drug delivery from polymeric lengths. First, I will speak about the disease, after the treatment, and in the end, what is the objective of the project. So, the disease that we treat with the therapeutic lens is so-called glaucoma. What is glaucoma? It is a disease that is induced by the damage of the nerve, optical nerve. How this disease arises? Here you have the eye. The main part of the eye that has a role in this process is this part here. We have here the anterior chamber, we have here the cornea, and we have here some holes here, and here we have ciliary body. So let's look to the main part. So what we have inside of the anterior camera, we have a pressure, so-called intraocular pressure. How this pressure arises? We have here ciliary body. Ciliary body produces a liquid which is called aqueous humor, and this liquid goes outside from by this hole here, so-called Schlimm canal. Of course, we have here a mesh, which is called a trabecular mesh, that has an important role here. So this is normal what we have. Production of a fluid here, and it goes outside, and it maintains here in the anterior chamber a certain value of pressure. What's happened to the trabecular mesh? This is a normal picture of trabecular mesh. So we have a zoom of trabecular mesh. We have here the Schlimm canal. So this is how the fluid goes out. So let us suppose that we have here inflammation. If we have inflammation, we stay with the trabecular mesh as we start. This is a normal trabecular mesh. Inside of an eye, with this trabecular mesh, we have a pressure between 11 and 22 millimeters of mercury. If we have an inflammatory process, like this tree here, we have an increasing of the intraocular pressure, like this, like this, like this. And this is very dangerous. What's happening in this case? This is what's happening in a normal eye. This is what's happened when we have an eye with an inflammatory process in trabecular mesh. So what's happened? We stay here with a lot of fluid. The fluid induces a pressure in the vitreous humor. This pressure induces a pressure in the retina, and finally in the optic nerve. And consequently, we lose our vision. This is terrible. What is traditional treatment? Traditional treatment is the treatment with eye drops, with a lot of drugs, several kinds of drugs. What's happened if I put a drop here? What's happened? We have here tear fluid, so the drug goes out. So we have a very, very small amount that can go inside. We have another problem. It is the use of eye drop is dangerous because the drug can go inside by so-called nasolacrimal ducts. And in this case, this kind of drugs, namely the beta blockers, they have a very dangerous effect at the cardiovascular level. Another question is related with the therapeutic window. If I put an eye drop here, I would like to have drug inside a anterior chamber. What's happened when I put an eye drop? In the anterior chamber, we observe an increasing of the concentration of drug, and after a decreasing. We have again an increasing when I put another eye drop. And this is normal behavior of the drug concentration in the anterior chamber. So, in order to have effect, the drug should be in so-called therapeutic window. The therapeutic window is defined by two values. So when the concentration of drug is higher than this limit, we have problems because drug can be toxic. Of course, if the drug is lower, it is a lower level, the drug has no effect. So in order to have effect, the drug should be described by this line. It is possible to have a device that can be used to deliver drug with this behavior. Yes. So-called therapeutic lens. The therapeutic lens, they were proposed in 2004, 2010. Here we propose a very interesting type of lens. And these lengths, they are very, very useful because they can avoid all the problems related with eyeballs. So, what is the objective of this project? This is geometry that I like to consider. We have here a polymeric lens where we have drug inside with different scenarios. We have the cornea. I'm considering a 2D scenario. And here we have the anterior chamber. We have a production of a fluid in this zone here, where we have ciliary body. And the fluid is removed here in this zone. So we have a fluid with movement. We have two different media. They are in contact. And what I would like to have is the behavior of the drug in time and space. So this is the main objective of the project. This is all.
Now I will ask the participants in project 4. Thank you very much. The fifth project is investment decisions under uncertainty with the instructor Claudia Nunes, who also was the main organizer of the last year's modeling week. So we are very happy to have her here. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. I was one of the co-organizers. In fact, it was organized last year by Lisbon, where I'm coming from, and from a colleague of mine from the University of João. Okay, so this is my project number 5. My name is Claudia Nunes, and the title is Investment Decisions and Uncertainty. So I don't have any special, we are not taking care of eyes, motors, I don't have even pictures. And the goal is very capitalistic, in the meaning that we want money out of this, okay? So that's the goal of the project. It's not something that, okay, money makes the world go round, right? So, okay, so let's see about the participants. So the key question is, if you have a firm, you have several questions regarding management, but one of the big questions is, should I invest in another product? And when I say invest, it can be either investment by adopting a new technology, by, for instance, if you think of public investment, should we enlarge our railway system? Should we build another airport? But there is money out of that, okay? You have costs, but of course that you also want some profit out of that. But on the other side of the question, you may be already in a market, and it may be better for you to exit the market. So in this sense, when I say investment can also be a decision regarding exiting from the market. And of course, that when you are deciding if you want to invest, you should decide also where, how much, and all these kind of questions. Okay. So the key question is, when should a firm invest in a new market or in a new product? And on the other side of the question, when should a firm exit from a market? And of course that this has two, as I was telling you, it's a problem with two sides, because of course that it's good for you to invest, but investment means money. And I'm talking about huge investment costs, okay? So I'm not talking about something like thousands of euros or less, but I'm talking about huge investment, because this problem that I take you here, it's something that in big companies and in public investments, we are taking care of that. So this is not this is a non-trivial problem. Mathematically speaking, this is an optimization problem, but it's an optimization problem under stochastic effects. So it's related with stochastic dynamic. I'm already telling the solution. It's related with stochastic optimization. So in fact, what you want is in the question related with the investor. Let me see if it works with me. Yeah. So in the investment problem, what you want to find is an optimal investment problem, which will be, by the way, an optimal stopping problem. And you want to maximize the expected value of such integral, where pi is a function that then we'll have to decide which function we are going to take care of. R is an investment cost, so it's the interest rate that we are going to assume to be constant. But here you have a stochastic process. And the main problem of this process, comes from the fact that this is a stochastic process. On the exit problem, so with the investment, you want to find the investment time. With the exit problem, you want to find the optimal exit time. And therefore, if you see pi as a cost function, what you want is to minimize the expected value of this. Now, this v is usually called the value function. And most of the cases, this, mathematically speaking, this is an optimal stopping problem, which is very much related with something that in finance people are taking care when they take care of American options. For those who know what is an American option is a contract, and you can exercise your option along the time until the maturity. The problem that I bring you here, it's not exactly an option, it's not a financial option, it's more connected with this investment that we call real options. But in a certain sense, it shares a lot of these properties of American options. The only property that here will be dropping is that we don't have this finite maturity that usually you have when you are taking care of options. Okay, so what I would like to see is the following. So this is the problem that I want you to solve with me, and then we'll see, depending on the skills, on your taste, what should be the way that we'll take. So we'll assume that the company is currently producing a product, but it can invest in a more risky product. So we'll go more to the investment problem. And when I say it can invest in a more risky product, imagine that you have the demand for a process. If the demand goes up, then in this more risky process, then you may get more profit. But it's more risky. Why? Because if for a certain reason the demand goes down, then you may have considerable losses. So it's a trade-off between what you may gain if the demand goes up and what you may lose if the demand goes down. So if the demand goes up, as I was telling you, then investment will pay up. But if it goes down, the losses may be very large. Now, we're going to assume that investment can occur whenever the company decides. So we have an infinite horizon, which is not shared by these American options. And the investment is irreversible, meaning that if you decide to invest in another market or product or whatever, you pay a cost, which is a sunk cost. You cannot recover. So my key question is, when should the firm decide to invest? Now, there's a lot of ways to do this and a lot of assumptions. We'll start by the most easy problem. And then if we manage to solve it, then what we want to check is the influence of the parameters of the demand process. For instance, associated with the demand process, you may have a drift, which is a tendency in a large time horizon to the demand to go up or down. How does this influence my decision regarding the investment? We also assume the standard GBM. GBM is the acronym for geometric Brownian motion, which is the key process for everybody that works in finance. But as we know, or as we'll discuss, this is not really a process that models the dynamics of the market. Then we may try hydrodynamics, but the problem is that as soon as you try hydrodynamics, then you'll be able to solve this problem only numerically, because you'll be seeing that in order to solve this problem, you have a system of equations where one of them is a PDE. And with geometric Brownian motion, in fact, most of the case, it will be an ordinary differential equation. With geometric Brownian motion, we are able to solve this algebraically, but not with other processes. So it will depend on the trade-off, what you are able to do. And also what I'd like to do with you is to study by simulation the time to decide, because as you'll see, this is a key-boundary problem where you don't know what is the boundary, and the boundary will depend on a certain level that you will achieve. And we want to study how much time it will take to our company to reach this level. And so that's my problem. So what we want to do is to find the profit and the good time to invest. Let's see if we're able to do. I don't have money for you, by the way. I just have the problem. Okay.
Now the people from project number 5.
Okay, ready. Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks again. And project number 6 is modeling an optical tweezer setup with instructor Jakub Šverek.
Okay, so thank you very much. I'm Jakub Šverek, and in my project, we will deal with a very particular set of equipment, which is called optical tweezers. And optical tweezers, well, this is a very strange thing. Its name explains itself. It allows us to trap small objects using light. And the possibilities that it gives are fantastic. We can take one bacteria cell or human cell and drag it along. You can take one molecule of DNA and stretch it. So optical tweezers are now widely used in both science and industry. But there's a problem. To use optical tweezers, we must understand it. We must understand how it behaves. We must have a mathematical model which explains its behavior. And here the mathematical modeling appears, yes? So there will be 3 main goals for my project. The first will be to propose a mathematical model for optical tweezers. The second will be to fit the parameters of this model using real data. And third, to verify the results using a statistical and numerical methods. But there will be a trick. We'll use a real data that my colleague, an experimentator, which used optical tweezers, measured by himself. And because this is the real data, it will be messy. It will be chaotic and nothing will work. But this is alive. And to make things even harder, I won't tell you how to do that. I will tell you what questions to ask and what tools to use. And by doing it so, I hope that having these general methods, this general possibility of asking right questions, it will be possible for my group to later on model not only optical tweezers data, but different data for statistical physics, for example, finance, when they use methods and the questions that we'll ask are similar. Okay, so I won't be telling you any details because I don't want to spoil them. Yes, this is actually all. Thank you.
And now can we please meet the participants in project number 6? I think that you're already in the full team. So thank you once again. And now project number 7 is modeling species transport to the membrane in hemodialysis with instructors for active blood.
All right. I would like to thank the organizer for the kind invitation. It's a pleasure to be here among with you all. So before I move on to the actual mathematics, I would like to describe what this dialysis or the background of this thing is, or what we are actually looking into. So essentially, this is a physiological system that is used in the biomedics. And what you will see is that when the levels of toxin in our body increases beyond a certain level, and our kidneys is not able to filter this thing out of the bloodstream, we need this artificial dialyzer that can actually filter out the harmful toxins in our body. So this is the artificial or the dialyzer, external dialyzer through which our blood passes through, and the toxins, mainly the urea and the creatinine, are transported through, and then the fresh blood is again inserted back into our body. So any patient which has renal failure typically needs, for extreme cases, 2 to 3 times, lasting around 2 to 3 times per week, lasting around 4 to 5 hours, maybe even. It's really painful. It's not that simple to be operated, but this is the only alternative option that we have right now for such kind of things. Bit of statistics. There are a lot of people who are actually dependent on this system. and this is the only hope for them. And the important bit is that, as we're told, is that apart from kidney transplantation, this is the only possible alternative that you have in case of complete renal failure with the hemodialysis thing. Now, okay, so we are a group of mathematicians, so we are not very much interested in biology, maybe. So what we are interested is looking into the fluid problem. So here are the main challenges that I find that mathematicians can actually contribute in solving this problem. The first one is that during the operation of this hemodialysis, the time required for a patient is actually done by some few trial and error methods that can last from 5 to 6 or even 10 sessions to get an estimate of how the blood or how much the blood purified and how long time it requires. There is no fixed modeling or any empirical, there are small empirical relations which doctors use, but there is no insight on how much time it requires, so that it is like when a person goes in for the first time, it's like very unknown, uncertainty is there, like how long it is going to take. This is where I find this modeling can be helpful. The other key thing is that even though this module or this dialyzer is determined by some medical specs, there is still a lot we can do from the mathematics point of view. Is that we can really put in the modeling solutions to help to identify what actually is happening, and we can have a real predictive simulation of this thing in a real time, that you can show that as long as the time progresses, how the filtration is occurring. Or maybe you can also say optimize like the time required and number of sessions you need, and also like you can also customize these dialyzers depending on a specific person's needs, like someone who is not like is not in an extreme state and just in the early stages cannot may not require a heavy dialysis time per session. So that is like it at the moment, it is like not uniform, it is like same for everyone. So whoever goes for the dialysis is the only one same cartridge that will have the module, and then it's typically the same time, and it's always done for 2 to 3 times per week, even if the patient is not in extreme state. And the last important part is that the transport mechanisms are actually what is happening inside the dialysis, and what is the level of these toxins removed is completely unknown. So the doctor generally does like in the beginning of the field, this unit they does a small blood test to measure these things, and at the end they does it so just to make sure that it works. But nobody knows like what is happening in the intermediate times and whether the efficiency is like continuing during this process, and how this is affecting the patient or something like that, or whether we need to stop or something. So this is what I find our motivation for this problem, that how much we can contribute in this. Now let's look into some of the maths thing, or like how we can strategically deal with this problem. So this is in fact the heart of this hemodialyzer, and there you have small tubes which are actually porous membrane. So essentially, if I can draw, this is like a tube, and so this is typically what this module looks like. So on the wall is actually porous, and the permeation through these walls of the toxins is actually transverse to the direction of the blood flow. Essentially, we are going to solve the fluid flow of this blood actually in this channel, and then we have to solve this species transport equation in this channel and get an idea about how the toxins actually removed from this system. Now to begin with, there are some of the simplifications which I thought that will of course make you happy and ease the problem, which I'm sure it can be solved out within 1 or 2 days maybe. The simplifications are that we are going to look in the beginning a very simple case of a Newtonian fluid. We'll look into the steady state operation so that we are able to see what happens to the concentration profile inside this channel. We are also going to assume that our flow is almost plugged, so it's not a kind of positive things. But of course, we should understand that this is not actually in practice what we do, but it is essential that we get our equations right with the simplified model to start with. Now, once we are able to do that, we all are excited with complexities and shrills. So here, how the facial expression changes when you add complexities. The first is we quickly change into the tubular model instead of the rectangular thing. That will actually give us an insight of how the thing happens in the case of the tube. As we move ahead, we are going to add the transient state that is actually needed so that we can pull out how the efficiency of the system actually changes with the time. Then again, instead of the Newtonian fluid, we are going to add some more complexities that happens when you have the rheology to be non-linear with respect to the applied shear stress. Then we are going to change, okay, we're going to change the permeability of this porous layer characteristics. Now, the red part is more difficult. So what happens, like say, in a typical case in a patient when he's having a fever or he's having some other diseases, then the fluid or these properties of this blood actually changes in the state. So it is not uniform not uniform always. So we can model the system when these properties are function of the concentration. I mean, when we are having some disease state, then these toxins can increase or decrease in your body. What happens if the patient's blood flow rate is not normal, like it can have some pulsating flows because of difference in heartbeat or something like that. That's really complex, but this is very much practical because these things are typically done by old people in their 50s or 60s, and like the blood, they do have cardiac issues and all these things that can be exciting. Next is what happens when this tube becomes deformed instead of having a regular shape. So that's the most hardest part, and I have no clue about at least the red parts or even the blue things, how you're going to address. So if the channel, instead of having a regular geometry, it can, if the pressure is non-uniform or it's pulsating, it can form like this. So our fibers can be something like this. So this can really complex. So it's all open to you guys. How do you address this and how much we can take this forward to make it more realistic. That's it. I hope you have a nice, happy face at the end of this week. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now let's meet the students in this project. Okay, thank you very much again. And now we continue to project number 8, red gear imports with instructing the other approach.
So I'm coming from the University of Novi Sad. Our group will work on the question of red deer inputs. So we will consider a hunting area that is enclosed and, let's say, filled with the population of red deer, more precisely with Cercus damon. How many of them? I mean, how large the population should be? Well, it depends on the number of conditions. So, for example, conditions for peace, climate, vegetation conditions. And in the real life, you have one parameter which quantifies all these conditions and tells you an optimum number of species for the hunting area that is under consideration. The main goal of the management is to produce red deer trophies, and this management is mainly driven
by a 10-year time frame document called a game management plan. So essentially, for us, it will be 10 tables. So for each year, you have a number of newborns, and essentially the most important, a number of individuals that can be hunted for that year. And each year, you have somehow updated version of the game management plan. So each year you count a real number of species, and then you update, you have another plan which should follow the strategy, the global strategy, so the strategy of the big game management plan. And there, each year, so separately, you determine the number of the individuals that can be hunted. So as I said, we will consider on-close hunting area. So the men have a huge influence on the breeding, and the main problem. So essentially, it is very good because you can feed the animals, you give them the water, you give them all the conditions. But the main problem is in breeding, and that is the worst thing which can happen because these completely disrupt the trophy structure of the population. So in order to prevent inbreeding, one should import the red deer from another hunting area, and that action is should be carefully planned because it is very expensive and it demands for a lot of organization. So the main questions are: at which time one should import red deer from another hunting area, how many of them, and of course also age and gender structure of the imported red deer population. And I will just also mention some activities during a hunting year, which are, let's say, written in the updated version of the small game management plan, which follows the strategy of the big one. So at the end of the match, you count species, especially before the vegetation starts. Then in April, you make a plan for the upcoming hunting year, which will follow the global strategy. And then in April, at the end of the April, beginning of May, we have newborns. Then in July, at the end of June and the beginning of July, selective hunting. It is a hunting the species which are newborns, which are sick, or females which are too old. And then the main event is at the end of August and beginning of September, when you have a trophy hunting. And I will provide documents. So I think 3 of them: big game management plan and some of updated versions for the national park in Serbia, in north part of Serbia. Here, Buška Gora is in the north part of Serbia, and which has on-close hunting area for that population called Dvorovo. It's here somewhere at the west. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. And may I ask the persons from this group to stand up? Okay. Thank you very much once again. Project number 9, S-box analysis with instructor Stella Železnik.
I'm from Institute of Mathematics and Informatics, Bulgaria Academia of Sciences. You know that nowadays security is very hot topic, and particularly cryptographic algorithms. So our project will be on a particular type cryptographic algorithms, as this is the block ciphers. Block ciphers are very widely the most widely used cryptographic primitives, and they are fundamental of cryptography. So this is the basic scheme of block cipher. We have as input a block of plain text, which is encrypted, and as output is generate block of ciphertext. Shannon is in its paper introduced ideas of confusion and diffusion, and the basic operation of substitution and permutation are very important in these ideas. The substitution usually is done by main object of our project, S boxes. Encryption process is alternating so-called rounds or layers. Each round consists of replacing some input bits by specific output bits, and shuffling bits around. The first thing is implemented as boxes, and second as permutation. So S boxes introduced non-linearity is in such type of algorithms. What is that which make one cryptographic algorithm better than another? The S boxes which are involved in such algorithms are very important, and the algorithm is very sensitive due to these S boxes, and there they have to possess some very specific security properties. Now in our project we will consider these properties. Usually S boxes are implemented as suitably designed lookup tables, and we can consider one bit as Boolean function. So if you have 4x4 S box, we can consider each bit as component Boolean function. But the difficulty of the problem is that we have to consider not only 4 component function, and also all non-zero linear combination of these Boolean functions. You can imagine if the order of the S box or the length of the input bits is bigger, we have to consider not only the length of the input bits and output bits component Boolean function, and 2 to the power n. So if the dimension grows, the work which has to be done grow very rapidly, and that is why the scope of this task is very sensitive to user computational technique. So the next week we will work on finding suitable and very fast computational technique to evaluate S boxes, and especially cryptographic properties of as boxes. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And now please let us see the participants from point number 9. Okay, thanks. And now, last but certainly not least, project number 10, distributed in fixed income derivatives with constructed variable layer.
Good afternoon. I'm very happy to be here. Thanks a lot for this opportunity to meet you here in Bulgaria. My project is called coupled stripping. This problem was posed by a bank in Spain last year. And unfortunately, when we tried to solve this problem, we spent nearly 1 week to try to understand what they were asking us to do. So now that with a student we studied a little bit more about this problem, we are now happy to understand this and try to bring this here to explore several aspects of mathematics that appear here that are very interesting. Well, here I have the evolution of the price that was proposed by Samuelson, that is called geometric Brownian motion, and it is the main stochastic process that is used for example, for the theory of Black-Scholes to obtain the price of an option. Here it is assumed that where is the light? Yeah. No, full screen. Here.
Without full screen.
Okay. So here you have the evolution of the, let's say, this is the instantaneous return of an asset. This is the, well, that is stochastic. This is the drift that was already mentioned. And this is the volatility that is connected with the standard deviation of the return. Well, you can think this term as a kind of scaling of a standard normal variable. Well, with this process proposed by Samuelson in order to correct one that was proposed by Bachelier that allowed for negative values of the price and that was not permitted, and with the theory of the absence of arbitrage in the market, that you cannot do money without risk and without investment, we have a very, how do you say, well, very coherent theory that allows you to give a value to an option. This is written in a non-standard way because in this way we allow for stochastic interest. This is the main point in my project. Well, there is a standard formula that connects prices that you can see today, the price of the main action, that's the underlying of the call, the forward price of the action, these two parameters that are defined by the contract. This is the limit that you impose to the price, and this is the time when you will be paid. Well, but the important thing is that you have an explicit solution to the problem of finding the price of an option, and it depends explicitly on this parameter that is the volatility. So this is the classical theory for, let's say, for an asset, but in the in the fixed income market, when you think about fixed income, you think about bonds, about mortgages, and so on. Well, all these formulas are a bit more complicated. The main problem with the Black-Scholes model is that real prices do not satisfy this condition of constant volatility. So you have what is called the volatility smile, that is the dependence of the volatility with the strike, with the limit that you put to the price. And there is a dependence also on the exercise time. If you see real prices in the market and Black-Scholes were exactly valid, let's say, all those prices would imply constant volatility, and this is not true. Well, here things are more difficult because in fixed income markets, your variables are not prices from the market. They are not things that you can buy and sell. They are parameters that are like interest rates, or what is they're called forward rates that we will explore during this week. The main problem here, and the main problem that I will present, is that in fixed income markets, you have some instruments that you can find the prices in the market, and you can extract a volatility from them via the Black-Scholes equation. But these instruments are more complicated. They have little instruments inside. For example, I will. Where is the? Here. Okay, fixed income markets. One of the main instruments is the cap. For example, when you ask for a mortgage, you are interested in lowering the risk when you have to pay if the interest is very high. So you put a limit on the interest, and if this L is the interest that you have to pay, if in the future this interest rises, the instrument will pay the difference with this K. So this is a kind of little option in a small interval. And the cap is an instrument that pays you in lots of intervals like this, and you know the price of the whole cap, but you don't know the prices of the couplets. Usually you have many more couplets than prices of caps. So this is the main problem in couplet stripping. How to extract the prices, how to extract the volatilities, and how to make smooth surfaces of volatility depending on time and depending on the strike. So we will start with very, very simple problems, with very, very simple algorithms, the one that is called the bootstrap. We will explore techniques of interpolation. We will explore nonlinear optimization techniques, when you try to fix the whole shape of the surface to the prices with some penalty methods so that the surface is smooth. And well, in principle, we can implement it in MATLAB or R, but since 1 year ago, I was exploring this Julia language. That is a very nice open source project in MIT. It has what is called a just-in-time compilation. Every time you evaluate a function, the function is compilated, so its speed is like 0 after the first evaluation. The syntax is similar to MATLAB. It's designed for scientific computing. It's developed in the MIT, and you have a lot of packages, even more and more each year. So this is all for my project. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And now let us see the participants in the last number project. Okay. Thank you very much. Let's take all the Now I will just tell you a few words about how all things will go in the following days. And then we will invite you in front of the faculty for a short welcome event. Okay, so all the following days we will begin with the interesting part of the event, namely the work on the projects, and the working days will begin every day at 9 a.m. Sorry, it will be quite a nice working day otherwise, and at 6 p.m. You will have assigned computer labs, and every computer lab has MATLAB, mathematical R installed on the computers, and some special software, for example, the Julia language that will be used in the last project. You can find all of those software on the right of your screens. And of course, if you need any additional software, you should contact us, and we will do our best to have it installed at the earliest possible time. Also, there is free Wi-Fi in all labs and basically almost everywhere in the faculty. So, if you prefer, for example, to work on your laptops, or maybe not in a computer room, we can also arrange a regular room where you can arrange the tables in some better way, I don't know, but if you would like, we can also arrange this. Now, every day we will have lunches from 1 to 2 p.m. at a restaurant. This evening I will send an email with this presentation, so you will have the map where the restaurant is, but it is basically just when you go outside the faculty, go to the right at the end of the street, and you will see it there. And the dinners will be at the hotel. So, now I have written, please bring your coupons and put them in front of the restaurant. Of course, you don't have coupons for the time being, and I will tell you, just need to wear something in this respect. But you will, and so please bring them to your restaurants. This is especially important for the people with some special food preferences, because they call it so that the waiters can serve you in due time. Now we will have two social events. First, on Wednesday evening, right after the working day, we will have instructors for some traditional Bulgarian dances, and we have some wine, some food, so in the middle of the week we can have some relaxed time, and then continue with the rest of the work. Now, the final presentations will be on Saturday morning, and every group will have up to 20 minutes to present their work from the modeling week. And then, until September 1st, you will have time to finish the technical reports of the event. But this you will understand will be sharing the group and with your instructors, and you will have more guidance about this in some time. And then the main social event, after everything is ready, and we have had the presentations and all the work of the week, we will have a long excursion to the city of Plovdiv, the old town there. There are some very nice places to see. We will have an official dinner in Plovdiv, and hopefully then we will all be happy with what we have done during the week.
Saturday or Sunday?
Saturday. Sorry about this. It was quite busy several days. Saturday, sorry. And now, what about those coupons that I promised? Now we will have a few team building exercises during the opening event, and your rewards at the end of those exercises will be all good coupons. So please don't miss those. Okay, so see you. Now those are the contacts of our organizing committee. You can also see by the red badges, but I will send you this information over email. So once again, welcome to Sofia, and see you downstairs for the welcome event.
Yeah, because
Yeah, there are some people who make flex that you write.
So you already get.
Yeah, maybe more. So yeah, there are maybe more.